Okay, welcome to version 4.1 release. Some good ones in this one, but before I jump into the release notes review, there's two new features listed here which are templates. So a photography template on Foundation and a lawyer template, so go check those out. Okay, so we'll get started. So the first backlog item is the code view in custom module WYSIWYG fields. So when you add a WYSIWYG item or field as a custom module, a custom property, like we can see here, we now have the ability to switch to the code view, which is awesome. So that's just like the content editor now. So very handy. Then we have a big change to the menu layouts. So previously we accessed the menu layouts just through the file manager. So the file manager we had, actually I think it's removed, yeah, this is a new site so it wasn't created, but so the menu layouts folder would have been here, and you had to do your layouts there. But now when you create a menu or any existing menus, Treepl have ported those into the content folder under menu layouts, and then you get the menu alias folder names just as it was before, but now it's within here. So it's also accessible via FTP in here as well. So we get a default folder set up for all menus, but so in addition now we can actually add multiple layouts, so we can create additional layout sets, and you can do that from the menu under layouts. So we can now create a new layout group, and that will just duplicate that whole folder set and give us another set of menu layouts, which we didn't actually have before, so that's another enhancement to this feature. So that's just talking about that. Then we just go through the menu layout changes to the FTP. So this is just describing the process in converting those over. So I did a little quick test on a live site, and it was all ported over fine. The old menu layout folders were still there in the original location, but they didn't affect, like if I made changes there, they didn't affect anything. So I would say they're safe to delete now, just to avoid confusion. So we're using the new layouts now. So it's pretty good. Add menu layout groups to the liquid component. So because now we have the ability to have multiple layout groups for a menu, there's a new parameter in the component tag. So we can see here we've got our menu component tag. In this case, the alias is a test menu, but now we have layout group parameter, so we can specify the actual folder name. So in this case over here would be default. So you could put default here, but of course that's the default. But if you create a custom one, you can add that into your component tag in order to specify what layout it's going to use. So obviously we have a new parameter in Liquid as well called layout group, just so that the inner layouts can dynamically call the layout that's meant to be using. So that just talks about that. And then of course the component toolbox. So when you're if you're using the toolbox to add the menu to the page, that will automatically add in the layout group for you. So then we had the delete all items button that they added to modules. So if we go here, so we used to have a big delete all button. So they've done a few tweaks here to the UI. So we've got a little bit of a change here to the settings. and now the three dots have moved from below the table to the top, which I think is a much better layout. So we have our import, export, and delete all options all tucked away in there. So I think that's pretty well perfect. So that's good. For custom modules, again, in the custom properties, we can now change the data type. So in our properties for a custom module, so here I've got like a WYSIWYG field and a string field, and we can actually change them now successfully. So you might decide you're changing a WYSIWYG field to maybe a multi-line instead, and when you go to save that, of course, it gives you a warning that it actually says will cause data loss. But in my tests, it's doing a pretty good job of converting some of the tests I did. So probably would be better saying may cause data loss. But obviously, some fields are better suited to switch to other fields than other ones. Like it's hard to change a date to a WYSIWYG or something like that. So there's going to be mixed results there. But it was working pretty well in my tests. I've also got a note here that the way the transformations work, so when it converts the data that's currently in those fields to the new field type, they've laid out a description on how each field will map to other fields, and that will be coming in the documentation very soon. I'm working on updating the custom modules documentation, so that's going to be huge. And I'll put that in there on how the fields actually map. So you can look into that before you have to do any changes to make sure that your data is going to be safe or not. Edit and reshuffle tags in modules. So this is very handy. So if we're looking at a custom module item, or any module item, I should say, our tags, the list here can now be sorted, and we can edit them. So that's very handy. Unfortunately, not applied to categories yet. I'm not quite sure why, but they didn't get that upgrade. Okay, then we have the image manager in the WYSIWYG. So now we have the ability to access the file manager for the image tool. So when we select image and browse, we are now actually looking at basically the file structure. I can go into my images folder and click the plus to insert that image, and we've got all the tools again available to us there. So that seems to be working okay. The import export feature, so this is a beta feature now, so this one's you need to actually activate. So if we go to your beta features from the gear icon and turn on the advanced module import export. So what they've added here is just the ability to disable from site search to have that field true or false in your import file. So that should solve some issues there. But yeah, just remember it's a beta feature, so you've got to turn that on. So then we get into the bug fixes. We had a release date issue sort of ongoing with the custom module items, I think a few items, but so they're saying custom module items, the release date was saving with incorrect hours, so causing some issues with when it was displayed. So hopefully that's all fixed. Haven't really tested that one out yet. And there was an issue with if you had site web manifest files, the system wasn't recognizing them. From my test so far, it doesn't seem to be recognizing them still, but maybe maybe they need to be moved to a different location or something. Once I clarify that, I'll do an update to this. There was a login issue to the admin, which a lot of us were experiencing, so the login screen would just keep coming up for like 3 times before it actually let you in. So hopefully that's resolved. And there was a site search issue where if you use multiple keywords, the search wouldn't run. and now that is, I have tested that, and that seems to be working great again now. Link Manager changes the link text. So the example here is if you sort of write this text and you select the word link to make it a link, the actual text on the page would change to the item name that you were linking to. So if you're linking to a page called test, you would then actually get this is my test, and it would override your text. So that's not occurring anymore, I believe. Okay, so that was all the release notes. So some pretty good ones in there. Happy to see some of those. So dig in and enjoy. Thanks.